Welcome to the webinar. You have entered as an organizer and may now speak to any other organizers or panelists.
Again, third down, they'll go with Elliott. Shows some
Live from Victory Park, this is WFAA.
Cars out here. Yeah, somebody had a bad, I don't know what type of wreck that was, but I believe a plane, man.
Seriously injured after their plane crashed in a neighborhood in Lake Worth. The pilots ejected before
Happy Monday to you. Welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. We're geared up for a big week, Drive Safe Day. We came off of Driver Appreciation Week, and if you didn't get a chance out there, if you saw a driver and perhaps you just forgot to say thank you for being a hero, thank you for delivering our goods, you still have an opportunity. Listen, you don't have to wait and just do it once a week. As a matter of fact, you don't have to say it on Thursday. You can thank a truck driver 7 days a week, all day. Go to a truck stop, say hi. Just be careful. If you start knocking on doors, they may look at you a little weird. Drive safe, Dave. Top of the morning to you.
Yeah, that's not the good move. Don't be knocking on doors at truck stops. But hey, whatever you can do. I mean, we's talking about it. We can say thank you whenever, however. And you know what? Say thank you to the fellow driver. Say thank you to your fellow partner out there in crime, out there doing what it is you do every single day. It's a tough job. Make sure everybody appreciates you and appreciates them. Okay?
And it comes with action, right? I mean, listen, we can do a lot of different things. We can actually get out and help them back into a spot. There's so many ways you can help your fellow driver out. Remember, what we're after is changing an industry, and that requires action. I know you've heard it a million times, but it does. When you see somebody, you're sitting in that chair and somebody's backing up, it's going to require you to get out of the truck and actually help them. Not saying I should have helped them, or I wonder if I should help them.
Yeah, and you know what? Everybody loves a spotter. Everybody loves the opportunity for a spotter to come out there and say, hey, you know what? I got you. Come on back. You know what? It doesn't take that much time. And be that person, right? It's not just the spotter at that time. It's also flashing them in, making sure that they're protected, letting them know that, hey, you know what? You go ahead and back into your spot. I got you. Nobody's going to be coming. And doing the things that you can do out there on the road. I mean,
this industry, right? We have a lot of new folks coming in here. Matter of fact, one thing we want to do is encourage that younger driver into this market. And listen, when we ask for the younger driver to come in, that just means they don't have the experience that you do. And so when you see them out there, encourage them, talk to them. You've been where they're just now going to, right? I mean, you've already gone through that part of your life. Be that hero to them. Be that mentor to that younger driver out there inside your company, outside your company. It really doesn't matter. Be there. And Dave, we talk about that. You can be there in many ways, and that simply means maybe you're buying them a cup of coffee.
Right.
Or maybe you're showing them how to do a proper pre-trip, a proper post-trip.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. And I'll tell you, when you get out of your truck and you see something wrong, you can always say something. Sometimes they don't see it. Sometimes they don't understand it. Sometimes you see something they don't get. But, it's always okay to just walk up and go, hey, you know what? You got your tires look low back here on the backside. Did you notice that? You don't have to be forceful or anything. You can be helpful and stuff like that. And I'll tell you, if you see somebody lingering around or not doing the right thing, even anywhere in the truck stop, make sure you report them to the truck stop or make sure you report them to the authority.
And just want to encourage you as well, when you get out in that yard and you're helping them out, and when you see them out there on the yard, make sure you have the proper foot gear on, and make sure you have one of these on right here. We've got to be seen in those yards. We see it time and time again, Drive Safe Dave. People out there on the yards, it's daylight, and they just sometimes don't feel they need this. And this is a must all the time.
Yeah, safety vest, the safety requirement. You know, they don't even let you in some places unless you have the proper gear. You know, hard hat, safety glasses, steel-toed boots, and a safety vest. So whatever it is, you got to make sure that you have the proper gear. And I believe, you know, that you can get it anywhere. They're really inexpensive. They're like $9 at Walmart. You can get those really, really anywhere.
I bet you can call your operations team right now,
Bam.
and I bet you they can get some for you. Challenge them, challenge yourself. You know what? It's the best $10, $12, $15 you'll ever spend because it will save, and it can save your life. Drive Safe Dave, listen, big scoring weekend this weekend. We had a Cowboys victory, but before we get that, we even have a much larger score, 125 days of driving safe. Nothing bigger than that. I know you was speechless. All I got was a thumbs up from you. 125 days requires much more than 2 thumbs up. Give me something on that. Great job. As we go through the weekends, right? We go through the deadliest days of summer. We've gone through that, and we haven't let our guard down.
No, and we continue to be successful, continue to do the right thing, and continue to make the numbers grow. And you can only do that one day at a time by going out there and making it right for you every single day and doing the best you can and making today better than yesterday. If you made a mistake yesterday, right, if you caught yourself doing something you didn't need to be doing, just be better today. Do what you got to do and make an adjustment and be better today.
And now we'll get into a little bit of a Dallas Cowboys victory, the only sports story that really matters. And here we go. Dallas Cowboys are playing good score right, or they're going on a scoring drive right here. But here it is right now, field goal range. Drive Safe Dave. Probably some of the worst time management you've ever seen, ever. But for some reason, we get that opportunity to kick that game-winning field goal, and here it goes. The kick is up. The hike's there. The kick's up, and it's good! Cowboys win! Score! You know what? It's almost like we said, goal! Because we were also at 10 days of goal.
All right.
The streaks continue. Let me tell you, this has the makings of the best Monday, the best week ever. Cowboys win 125 days of driving safe and 10 days of getting out and looking.
Successfully. Getting out and looking every single time. Every time you back up, increase the scores. We have a chance to get that, even double that, triple that, and make that the new record. We've got a long way to go, but we got to do it one day at a time. We got to do it today.
We do.
Today is when you got to do it. You got to get out and look today if we want to get to 11. That means every time you stop, get out and look. That means every time you get a chance and help the guy next to you. That's what we were talking about.
Hold on a second before we change some things up here. Hey, just because you stop don't mean you have to get out. I mean, if you're at a stop sign, don't get out and look there. He's referring to when you're backing up, not just when you stop. Ah, great, another stop sign. Let me get out and look.
And make sure you come to a complete stop.
Yes, don't roll through it, but you don't have to get out and look on that either. Hey, listen, Drive Safe Dave, we had Cottingham and Butler in here last week, and we spoke a lot about insurance, right? We spoke about the increased rates. We talked about some of the reasons behind that, and that goes into litigation. You know, how we continue to see these lawsuits just mounting and mounting and mounting.
Targeting trucking companies.
Targeting trucking companies. And here we go. Right here, you know, we just had those 7 individuals that were what were they? They were
indicted.
They were indicted by the federal prosecutors, 4 counts of indictment to those 7 individuals that range from that period of 2016 to 2017 where they were staging accidents.
Yeah, and I believe all of them have pled guilty. I think every single one of them have actually pled guilty to the crime, and for a lesser sentence, but they all are conspiring. They all conspired to create these false accidents out there on the highways. And what's really sad is that an officer of the court was also involved.
Yeah, this happened out in New Orleans. We all know about that. We hear about this. Those cases actually settled for just a little over $1 million, and they go back after him. Here comes the indictments right now. Two of the main folks involved in that are believed to have been in over 100 of those staged accidents.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Going out and trying to create a problem, trying to create accidents. In fact, some of them were just claims. They went out and took drugs, just said, hey, there's a truck. Let's get its license plate. Let's get its truck number, and let's just file a claim against them. And those kinds of things were going on. But what's really sad is that there was also an attorney involved and also part of it, and also pled guilty.
Yeah, and what's sad is we've seen this before. This is something that has come up quite a bit. I know that Buckle Up Bob has been preaching this for a year, if not longer, about these potential staged accidents, and we've seen it a lot. I mean, the person who represented these 77 plaintiffs who did get arrested in this conspiracy represented 77 different people who had claims related to 31 staged accidents over the course of that time. So a ton of people who are going out and filing these claims who are staging these accidents to get, like we've talked before, these massive nuclear verdicts that are putting people out of business.
Yeah, and you know what? And drive safe, Dave. It bothers you, and I could hear it bothers you to your heart about, what makes it bad as an attorney. And drive safe, let me just tell you, I'm going to plead with you. Hey, there's bad attorneys out there. I know you're going to struggle with this, but they're not out there for your good. Not all of them. Some of them are. And I know you mean to tell me some of these guys are bogus? Yes, I'm going to tell you, some of them aren't just good people.
Bogus.
And it's not just, even with police officers, even in trucking. I know, sir. But when it comes to duck crossing, we're never going to go away from that. That, my friend, is its own thing. Nobody wants, we want no duck crossers. Hey, drive safe, Dave. Also, we had another story kind of, this goes to the school bus, okay, up in New York, state representative, going to the school bus system saying, and going to the I guess the Department of Transportation and saying, hey, listen, we're having a hard time hiring people. Perhaps the answer is reducing that CDL back to maybe some kind of bus driver license, something
Chauffeur
not
license.
as strict, because you know what? This is an important cargo that we're hauling. And drive safe, Dave, here we go. Because you and I had it this morning. You're like, well, they shouldn't have that. What are that? It's just kids. And I'm thinking, you know what? You can always tell.
Okay, first of all, that is not what I said. I said the requirements of a truck driver and those of a bus driver and what you do.
Come on.
What you do out there. There's not very, buses don't pull many tractor trailers.
The reason that you should, you just because you're not, but you're calling children around. That is to me, some of the most important cargo drives. And it's not something that you need to reduce. Why? Because here are what some of the things they're saying. Well, you know what? Truck drivers are supposed to check underneath their hood and check that. Bus drivers don't do that. Are we saying we don't do pre-trips? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, sir.
Because that, my friend, is not the answer as well. I don't want somebody lesser pulling, driving the school bus. You know what? Hell, let's screw it. Why? Learner's permit works fine, producer.
And to go on that point of a pre-trip, my dad drove a bus for a long time, and every time, whenever I was a little kid, having to go up on the bus with him, every single time, pre-trip. You had to go in with your list, go through everything, make sure everything was working. You had to do your post-trip when you came back in. Same thing. You got to do your pre-trip, got to do your post-trip.
Thank you. I love hearing the stories of here it is, a fellow educator's son out there seeing the benefits and the accountability, responsibility of somebody who loves our children. Somebody who says, you know what? It is true. And you know what? We must protect them.
We can have this argument all day long, and someone that's actually taken the CDL test, I'm pretty sure.
Go ahead.
Pretty sure there's no tractor trailer involved. I'm pretty sure on a bus there's no tractor trailer test that they need.
That what's required today. You don't reduce qualifications because of the job market.
Modify
You know
it.
what? How about this?
Modify.
How about you raise your pay? How about you go that way? Maybe that's the answer. Are you now competing with somebody else, say a fast food restaurant? And is that why you can't bring them in? Change the culture of your company. Oftentimes, again, Drive Safe Dave, I'm going to go into our industry, the trucking industry. We're having the same problem.
Absolutely.
So why not just, Class B? No. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Because that's what it sounds like you're saying to
No.
me. That's what I'm hearing from you.
No.
You've all of a sudden you turned into an animal lover, a duck crossing guard.
No.
You're a duck crossing guard.
Okay. We table this. This is not going to go anywhere.
I'm just saying, what happens though, sometimes when we can't mess with that. And here we go. Trainers, when you're training people in a bus system or an aircraft, right? Sometimes when you're doing the training, we have accidents as well. Here we had in Fort Worth on Sunday, a fighter jet, training fighter jet, with they both eject, they get out, crashed into a neighborhood here in Fort Worth, Texas.
Yeah, I think it's a two-seater. Yeah, I believe it's a two-seater. They were flying, and I believe they're both going to be okay. They were both taken to the hospital. But we don't know the cause or what have you. But here's some video of what transpired right here locally, right out of Carswell Naval Air Station, right here in North Fort Worth, I believe is where it transpired.
Yeah, it came out. I believe it was a training jet out of San Antonio area, one of the bases out of there. Coming this way is where the training jet was. The third time this year we've had an accident with this, and Drive Safe Dave, I believe two of them collided in the air, which always just shocks me. I know they're going fast on that. But situational awareness says I see a plane coming at me. Maybe I don't know. I've never been in there. I'm not a CDL holder like you, nor am I a jet license holder as well. But I'm just saying, if they're coming at you, move, do something like that. Drive Safe Dave. We've had some accidents in those jet planes.
Absolutely.
And let me tell you, before we go on this break, Air Force One, a Boeing plane getting fitted in San Antonio, Texas. All right, here we go. They find 2 bottles of tequila on the plane in San Antonio where they're putting the planes together.
Well, they got to take a break.
My God.
Got to take a break.
Let me tell you something. Here we go. A lot of correlation I think we can make today regarding CDLs, and now we're going to go into alcohol. When it comes to building our president's jet, the future jets of, for the future presidents, there's no room for alcohol. It was tequila. And just because you're in San Antonio area and, maybe it's Tito's or tequila. And no. I know Tito's is that choice of liquor down there. But there's no room for it on that. There's no room for it in your job as well.
None.
We see things like this happen. When you're going to the truck stop and you grab that 6-pack of beer, you're off the clock. You go to the grocery store, you get that beer. Drive Safe Dave. We cannot do that.
No, we
There's
can't.
no alcohol, no beer, no liquor allowed in the truck.
No, it's commercial. It's law. And by the way, you don't have to have a reason to get in. A DOT officer doesn't have to have a reason to get in your vehicle and search it. He does not at all. It is a commercial vehicle. It's a licensed vehicle on the road. He can stop it at any time and do what he needs to do. And if he suspects alcohol in there, he can go in and dig all day for it. And I'm telling you, but that's not the point. The point is that alcohol cannot be in a commercial vehicle at any time. You can't pick it up at the store and go home with it. You can't buy it with your other groceries. You can't have it in a sack with your bread and your milk. It can't be there, and it can't be there ever. You can't transport alcohol in the cab of the vehicle in a commercial vehicle at all, or it is a violation.
It absolutely 100% is, and we want to make sure, again, that we get that point to you. We talked about it a couple months ago, hot and heavy. We just want to use this moment one more time to say there's no room for alcohol in your truck. Listen, if you're coming off of a big game last night and your mind's not quite there because you drank last night, you're hungover, not only that can be also, you can get ticketed for that because your blood alcohol level is more strict on the CDL than it is non-CDL.
Correct.
And you know what? If it makes you fatigued, if it takes away your alertness, you can't get on the highway. It's not worth it. Okay? It's not worth it.
No,
you can't do it.
And let's just be honest. Whenever you feel like you're not 100%, right? You have to be honest with yourself, and you have to be honest with everyone around you. Just say, hey, I'm not 100%. I'm not there. I can't get behind the wheel. We don't want you behind the wheel of that 80,000-pound vehicle out there running around, and you're not at 100%, and you're not aware of what's going on around you. All that does is lead to disaster.
That's all it does. Hey, listen, this is BCB Live. We're the safest station in the nation, and we'll be back to you in 1 minute. welcome back to BCB Live. We're the safest station in the nation. Drive safe, Dave. Listen, we're talking, you know, we hear all these things. You know, we've been speaking about the aircraft, right? The school buses. You know, it's one thing that all these things have in common is situational awareness. It means that, you know, whatever you're driving, if you're driving that school bus full of children, you've got to know what's around you. We've been talking as well about situational awareness for, man, it seems like months now, and it never gets old. And, you know, sometimes you think of a subject, you're like, all right, dude, enough of the situational awareness. Well, the beauty about this situational awareness is that it literally changes every second. You're in a different situation right now than you were just a second ago. And it requires you to act a different way. It requires you to react a different way. It requires perhaps you to increase your space more than you just did 3 seconds ago. The situational awareness is so key in Drive Safe, Dave. When we talk about situational awareness in the big truck, let me tell you, when we're on this highway, we've got to be aware that we're coming into the big city, right? We're all of a sudden now there's an extra lane or two. And that tells us something, right?
Yeah, it tells us that there's more traffic. It tells us that there's a lot going on. I'm just going to say that whenever you think about it and you talk about it and you talk about situational awareness out there on the open road, you're traveling at 100 feet per second. And in that moment, in that time, it has to change dramatically. In that split second, it can change. That space can be taken away from you just like that. Somebody can pull in front of you and brake check you. And when they do, you've got to be ready. You got to be ready. You got to be ready out there on the road. You got to be ready to know what's going on and what you can do. A lot of those what ifs jump in there, right?
Yes.
A lot of those what ifs that you go through your mind, got to be ready to make them happen.
Yes, and we have a video here of some great situational awareness videos. Here we go, Drive Safe Dave. Look at this. You got the big truck, right? Going down and just pushing this car. And it's like, come on, do you not see him? Do we not know that he's there?
Yeah, I'm real confused by
I mean, was that a brake check gone wrong? You know, I don't know what happened on that, but at some point, you know, here it is. The police officer like, all right, dude, look, lesson learned. You know, he cut you off enough.
Yeah,
you can't keep pushing him forever.
And I think from the article what I read was that he was driving for an extended period of time with this vehicle sideways in front of him, pushing it down the road. Like, I don't know, I'm not sure. I think there's something wrong with the clutch. It's not pushing right. I'm having a little bit of drowning sound, or that dude waving right,
yeah,
right there in front, right there down there. And if you'll notice, that's not an extended nose. That's a cab over it, I believe. And you can see everything going on.
And you said that you don't want to get out and look every time you stop. I think that I'm going to have to disagree.
Well, this gentleman here just not stopping. I mean, certainly you feel something, you know. Something's just not right about the way I'm driving right now. Is it windy outside? You know, what's going on?
Got a little drag. Something's going on. I'm not sure what's happening. Not as much power in the drivetrain as there was a little bit ago. But you know what? That just leads. What's really going on? Are you doing the right thing? Are you paying attention to what's happening out there? And I'll tell you, you've got to watch and focus on and those other people that are running. There's a guy on the side of the road doing this. There's a guy out there screaming, hey, stop, and drove right by the first one. And then I think the second one was when he came up and whipped around and did it again.
Yeah, you know, I don't know if the guy driving the big truck sees those folks waving and maybe he's waving back.
Hey,
you know what, thing he's in a parade. Or, yeah. You know, we're not in a parade. You got to look for the situation around you. Says, you know what? Certainly there's no parade going on right now. Everybody's waving me down for something. I'm seeing flashlights. Matter of fact, here comes a police officer in front of me. Something may be wrong with me. And we just ask you once again, you know, first of all, let's not let this happen ever. But Drive Safe, we see a lot of crazy things on the road. We've shown the video more than once of a driver going down the highway and an ambulance falls off the flatbed and drives down the highway
at 60 plus miles an hour.
It stayed in the road. I mean, let me tell you something. It stayed in its lane. The only thing it didn't use was use the turn indicator.
That's right.
Other than that, the ambulance stayed in the road, and we see a lot of crazy things out there.
Right. And you know what? It's going to be continuous. I mean, that is what goes on out there. the unexpected, right? All the things that happen out there on the road. And I'll tell you, any driver that's been around for a long time has seen their fair share of the unexpected, has seen their fair share of the undesirable thing that happens out there, and seen their fair share of disaster. And you don't want any of those to incorporate in what you do every single day. And I get it. We've all seen the red lights and the strobe lights and the disco lights going on, and we drive by and we see these horrible, horrible scenes of accidents that transpire. And what we want to do is we want to work diligently to make sure that none of that happens to us out there on the road by doing the right thing and staying focused. We continuously talk about it, staying focused out there all the time in those moments and making the right decision.
Drive safe. We've even seen duck crossing, right?
We have in the
up there off
freeway.
287. Crossing up 287 and Childress, something like that. You see it happen, and you know what? You have to be aware of what's going on. Even for the ducks, you've got to be aware of everything in your surroundings. And drive safe, Dave. I want to talk specific, the rest of this week about those construction zones. You know what? It's real, and you know what? We're going to try to get somebody on in locally from that construction zone thing. Talk a little bit about danger, drive safe, Dave. And I wouldn't mind us going out there and looking at it, in person, seeing the dangers that they're in. Because here's what I'll say: I bet you from their eyes, you can't go slow enough. From their eyes, you're always going too fast. From their eyes, one slip up can mean their life. From them or you. And so we have to respect their life. They have the kids, they have, they're just like you and I. And we've got to respect those work zones, drive safe.
Yeah, I've actually worked for a period of time in construction, running a truck and running concrete in a truck.
I'm going to go fake news. I
No,
can't.
that's not fake news.
Were you a construction worker?
Well, I was running a truck. I was a truck driver. I was a truck driver in a construction, running concrete, but out there on the road, pouring concrete on the road. And I'll tell you, it is a crazy scene. In fact, sometimes, if you're out there and you're working in that environment, you become numb to the danger because you're out there constantly, right? And those cars are whipping by you, and you do it 8 hours a day, 7 days or 5 days a week, and it's constantly going, and you become numb to the danger. And then what happens is you make that simple mistake. You step too far out, you get too close, or somebody's driving too fast, somebody plows into you, somebody's not paying attention, and the combination of the two can result in a massive tragedy. And sometimes that is the case. It's two people not paying attention.
Yes, and you say all this, and it just reminds me of one thing, and that's this week's phrase that pays. And drive safe, Dave, I want you to look at me right now and give me that phrase that pays.
It's patience is on the roadway makes for a safe day. Patience on the roadway makes for a safe
All
day.
Right, slow down and say, here it is. The real phrase that pays for those of you listening is this.
Patience on the roadway makes for a safe day.
All right, drive safe, Dave. Phenomenal job of memorizing
I owe
that
Rick
phrase
$5.
that pays. And here we go. Can you do this part, though? Can you tell our listeners out there what that means to you?
Really what that means to me more than anything, not only patience, but it's the right attitude. It's that knowing that you need patience out there to be successful, and it will create a safe day. Being safe, slowing down, ensuring that you're going to take your time, and it will make for a safe day.
Yeah, need a little patience.
Oh, God.
Isn't that Axel? Yeah.
That's Rick.
Hey, the little Axel Rose reminding you that patience is needed. Patience is required on the roadway to make it a safe roadway. Hey, listen, this is BCB Live. We're the safest station in the nation, and we'll be back at you in 2 minutes.
morning, everybody. It's Buckle Up Bob, and we're going to do a little bit of traffic and weather, if you will. Again, the loops are the best way around the cities. Most drivers do not like going through them anyway. Coming out of the Fort Worth area, there was and just as a reminder, there was an accident this morning where it involved a tractor trailer and a motorcycle. Man, make sure you're looking in your mirrors out there and watching for these motorcycles. Sometimes they're hard to see. But again, you can see the loop. The weather looks good, but the loops are clear. And again, south is the best way to go. It's typically in these cities. I don't know if everybody just loves living to the north of these cities or what, but it's just odd that every time the south is the best loops around Fort Worth and the Dallas area as well. Kansas City, pretty clear. Just a little bit of a slowdown there on the eastern side, southeastern side there on 70. But again, the loops are clear around Kansas City. You should have very little problems getting around the Kansas City area this morning. Chicago, again, as we've said all along, must take the loops. Nobody ever wants to go to downtown Chicago if they can avoid it. But even Chicago looks a little bit light. You can see 90 up in there along the lake is pretty good. And we got some rain. You can see the rain moving into the Chicago area a little bit as well. So again, you want to stay to the outside. The loops are the best way to get around and go north or west as you come across 80 into 94. Philadelphia, not too bad. 276 Turnpike, loop around. It looks pretty good. Even the Turnpike coming down don't look as bad as it typically does. So again, some pretty easy going as you get into the Philadelphia area right now currently. Atlanta is Atlanta. Again, a lot of rain there you can see. And even though the southern loop is the best way, it's still, you're going to run into some delays there, even 85 south, and you can see all the red around Atlanta. Probably has to do a lot with the weather, as you can see a lot of the rain. Some really strong storms here just northwest of the Atlanta area, in Smyrna, Powder Springs, and even Dallas, Georgia. So be on the lookout for that as you approach the Atlanta area. Kind of the same thing, I think, in Nashville. You can see, there it is. Heavy rain going on right now in the Nashville area. So, again, going to have a lot of traffic issues, if you will. And you can see a lot of red there on just the eastern side. The 440 loop is the way to go around Nashville. But you got to slow down. As you can see, heavy rain on 65 south moving up and north of Nashville there as well. And you've got a lot back to the west moving in. So, right now, Nashville has some really strong thunderstorms. And speaking of the weather, you can kind of see the area there as you, let's go out to current there. You can kind of see the Atlanta area's got all the storms. The current radar, that's the wind. Oh, not going to let us do the weather radar this morning. So we'll look right into the wind gusts. There you go. That wind that came in the northwest over the weekend is now moving into the Midwest, the Kansas and Missouri area, and you're going to see this thing get bigger right there. You can see up in the upper 30-mile-an-hour gusts, maybe even some 40s in some of the areas as well. But again, typically these come a little short, so you just got to slow down about 10 to 15 miles. It should be very navigatable, if that's a word. And tomorrow is going to be the big one. You can see it dips down to Texas. So we'll see some winds in West Texas tomorrow. But the rest of the country looks pretty good. Our rain forecast, again, you can see that line stretching all the way from Texas on up into Michigan, moving into the Detroit area for tomorrow. And that southeastern corner going to get hit again from Florida, all through the Carolinas and Georgia for tomorrow. Today, same thing. So you can kind of see that Gulf Coast is getting hit even some more. Hey, we're watching. We are not out of hurricane season yet. I forget the name of this one, but the big one that they're watching, and when you put it out, this one is expected to hit some conditions there and kind of just fizzle and then redevelop after it gets up here. But the one we want to watch is this one here. This one next week on Tuesday, you can kind of see it. Right now it's forecast to be 127-mile-an-hour winds. So we'll keep an eye on that as that gets closer. Right now, the path looks like it's heading towards Florida. So again, long time away yet. We're well over 8 to 10 days out yet. So, but it is one we're going to watch, because when you hit on there, possible wind gusts of 140 miles an hour. So we're going to be looking right around that Category 2, Category 3 hurricane. And that's going to be named Rose. So we're going to watch her as she comes ashore and see what's going to happen if there's any chance of hitting landfall in the United States. Hey, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back with some safety.
Welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Hey, we're going to talk about the rain, right? You talked about Nashville and that area with the rain, and I'm going to ask this. Hey, if you're out there right now, hey, raise your hand. I want to hear, if you can, some helpful tips on what you do when you're getting into that rainy situation on the highway. I just want to hear, what you're looking for, maybe a speed reduction or two, but buckle up, Bob, that Nashville area. Listen, during peak season, during during rush hour, right? Don't matter what city you're in, when rain comes down, even a sprinkle, it changes the traffic patterns.
Yes, and really what many may or may not realize is the lighter rain, the beginning of the rain is more dangerous than after it's been raining hard for several hours. You still got to worry about the ponding and all that when it's raining heavy. Of course, you never can let up your guard, but you got to be really careful in the first hour or so as the water mixes with the dirt and the oil on the highway. It becomes a slick situation, almost just like ice. So you have to slow down even when it's just starting. Probably one of the most dangerous places that people just don't raise their guard level up there when it's starting to rain until it gets heavier. And I love the topic. We did not converse on what the topic was going to be, but one of the things that's seen, and I've been watching, and hope to get a guy from Texas on that actually deals with the legislation. So we're going to talk a lot about, really what I want to focus on is the drivers have to, and companies have to shift towards worrying about who's at fault to preventing the accidents. And that's really the shift that's got to happen because of the legal system. Started off, you were talking about the Louisiana verdicts. I don't know if it had this guy in it, but this was right in that time frame. But this Damien LeBaude, right, hatched a plan and actually recruited a fleet of people. And it sounds like it's probably the same ones. And, he would actually cause the accidents, and they would follow, the driver would follow in his car, and then he would quickly hop out, they would hop behind the wheel, and then he would linger around as a false witness. And they had a network fleeting around there, and what was amazed me is he only paid these people $7,500 to do it. And you've seen some of the things where they were making millions on this. So, again, it's out there. It happens. I mean, it warranted an FBI investigation to get this resolved. And as a result, there's some laws. And we're going to talk a little bit later on in the week about the laws. One of the leaders is Texas. They got a House bill passed that went into effect September 1st. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, because that's going to be, as we build up in the week, why we have to worry about preventing the accident versus the fault, because the nuclear verdicts are real, and we're going to have some numbers for everybody as we go through the week on that as well.
No, I'm ready. I'm ready to dive into that, because you absolutely said it right. I mean, at the end of the day, what we need to do is prevent. We need to make sure our situational awareness, make sure we're looking out there, and make sure we're trying to prevent that accident, as opposed to worrying about it wasn't my fault, it was their fault. Well, if we see it, maybe we can prevent it. And I know when you're out there, you do it every day. There's cars and trucks that drift in your lane that cut you off, and you're always preventing that. And again, we're just going to stress to you that you've got to be on your game 100% of the time. One more thing, though, that's part of the beauty of these forward-facing cameras, right? The cameras that help exonerate.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about technology too as the week goes, because that is huge. Some of the things one of the first things they recommend is, if you don't have them forward-facing cameras, you need to get them right away, because that is probably the best tool that they've had. And just as a prelude to the House bill that's probably, and what happens is once one state adopts something, other states start to catch on. Now, there's no guarantee or how quick, but usually it mushrooms a little bit. And so that's the hope here, because what happens now is the first thing the plaintiffs have to prove is they've been doing, you talked a little bit last week about the reptile, and I was on Atree's website as well. But they, now it's two-stage process, and the first thing those plaintiffs have to prove is company neglect. If they cannot prove company neglect, it's over. The trial's over. You don't go to phase 2, which is the punitive stage with the money. And so that is a huge leveling out the fairness of the playing field, if you will. And it's now in effect in Texas. And I think there was another state. I have to find out who that was. It might have been Iowa. But you get 2 in there like that, and then the rest are probably going to follow to help these states out a little bit with these frivolous lawsuits, if you will. Hey, we have some videos.
Love videos.
Pretty good videos. You know, here's one. You just got to remind. We talk about fault preventability, slowing down. Don't know what happened, but this is really odd, because what you're going to see is it's kind of white and shiny. There it is. Oh, and I had to look at it twice, but that's on its side. You know, when you first come up on it, it looks like it's just sitting in a medium, but then you get to the cab, and it is on its side, and it's facing the wrong direction. Now, I couldn't see anywhere on this direction to where it crossed through any of that wire retaining wall there, or any skid marks. So I'm not sure how it got facing the wrong direction and where it was coming from, whether it was on the frontage road or on that highway over there. But obviously, a very dangerous situation. Hopefully that driver is okay. But you just got to know your situation.
Sometimes when a truck goes over on its side, the weight of the pulls around in the front. That's what happens when you jackknife, is that weight's going to go, and the cab is much lighter than the weight of the trailer, and it'll continue to spin forward and then slide forward. So the weight, if that had been driving towards you, it makes sense that the trailer is now on this side.
I got you. Yes, makes sense, Dave. And then, yeah, the cab's kind of along for the ride after that part.
Absolutely. You're no longer driving, the freight's driving you.
Yeah, absolutely right. Hey, this one, just a reminder, got to clean the windshields. This looks like there were some devices stuck there. That looks like, you know, the glue from the devices. Don't know.
Old fuzzbuster.
But you got to keep the windshields clean, folks.
Or a square bug. It might just be a square bug that hit there.
Either one, not good. No fuzzbusters allowed in the trucks. Just make sure we're aware of that.
Yeah, we haven't seen this in a while, but, you know, hey, it's that time of the year, too, where end of fall, right? Just like spring, where you see all this. So, hey, got to keep the windshields clean. Help yourself out, because clearly the video would not show anything here.
Yeah, and you want to look and test capture view. You want to test capture what you're looking at so that you can see. Do it every now and then, but make it part of your pre-trip. You know, check and see what's going on. Make sure your camera's working properly, and that what you can see right here. There's not very many square bugs out there, so we're pretty sure that this is actually you should.
And I do, and I want to stay on this one more quick second here before we switch it, because you know, these cameras are used to help us, right? To help us identify somebody that cut us off. Maybe get a license plate number, maybe see something, and when we see the video like this, that's all we're going to be able to see. We can't help, you know, prove perhaps your innocence, our innocence in a thing. So make sure that you're testing your cameras. Make sure that you're hitting that button, that the videos that we're seeing are indeed great videos.
Yeah, there's no way to exonerate you if there's nothing there to show, or no evidence of the contrary of what they see on the scene. Many times the officer has seen and makes a judgment call, and then sees the video and then changes his mind.
Yep. It almost looks like it came through Jurassic Park. Next video.
Hey, great job by this driver. Look at everybody moving away and entering a construction zone. You can see the orange signs, the lanes are changing. They are clearly marked in this case, but just a phenomenal job by the driver. Situational awareness, as you said earlier, just keeping that space, and the speed is great because everybody else is moving away from them. Just able to react to anything that might happen here.
We love the videos here where we show, you know, protecting life, and somebody may look at this Drive Safe Dave that's never been on the show and say, all they did was slow down. What's the big deal? Well, we are leading the road, right? If we slow down in these construction zones, then the cars behind us can't go any faster either. And what we are doing, Bob, and what you were talking about earlier, is perhaps preventing an accident by driving at the speed limit or below the speed limit, especially in the construction zone.
Yeah, and you can even see, even though the cars are passing, they're not passing fast. You know, that looks pretty slow when you look at what they're doing with the little things on the left on that jersey where they're not just zipping by really fast either. So these cars actually did slow down because of, I think, because of the truck as well. This one here, you know, just takes a little patience, just like the video before. Because you just have to be patient. Same thing here, right? It's a double yellow line, right? Got a little bit of an intersection, construction. There's trucks there in the middle. So just be patient. You know, can't pass over a double yellow line. I understand it, but you can see oncoming traffic. There's nothing coming, but you just want to be patient. This car's turning. It has the turn signal on. Plenty far back, but just a reminder that's still illegal. If there's a police officer there, it's just not allowed.
Drive safe, Dave. Thoughts on that?
You can't pass. There's a double line that says you can't pass. You're not allowed to pass, and you shouldn't pass. Also, there's a blind hill up ahead. You don't know how fast somebody's coming. You know, these cars drive really, really quick. And you know what? Just take your time. Be courteous to the guy in front of you. He may change his mind.
And you talk about the motorcycle accident we had in Fort Worth, and if a motorcycle's coming the other way, going a little fast or driving speed limit, you don't have the same visibility for that motorcycle you do as a car. Listen, just have a little patience. Just a little patience. We all need just a little patience.
Yeah, that goes for everybody.
Patience on the road makes for a safe day.
Hey, just a reminder, got to take the curves a little slow. This is a little fast. You got the markers there. You know, this is always hard because you want to not lose that momentum because you're going to have to turn around and merge. But there is a yield sign at the bottom regardless. So, again, you just got to slow down here in these curves to prevent rollovers, right? This is really quick, almost 30 miles an hour, and these curves are at least 180 degrees, it looked like, on this one here. So 270 maybe, but pretty sharp curve. Just slow it down a little bit as well. Hey, we got anybody, producer?
So, Bob, on that last video that you showed right there, so one of the things I want you to just think about and remember is this right here, is that, yes, I mean, maybe 99 out of 100 times you can go 25 in that 15 and be just fine. But that one time that you have a different kind of freight, maybe the shipper didn't load it the way they normally load it, you know, and you're going through that and you have that accident. It's not worth it, and you're not gaining much. We want you to have that patience, especially in those turns like that, because it's, you know, a rollover is not worth it. I mean, it can kill you, it can kill somebody else. It's going to create damage in the product. Let's say everybody's fine. Well, now guess what? That 15, you know, that 1 minute, that 30 seconds you gained, let's be honest, 30 seconds you gained is gone. Hours and days and perhaps your driving record. And it's an action item, once again, that just says, I'm going to slow down. And again, I think you have, as a truck driver, as a driver in a vehicle, a car, four-wheeler, you have a built-in excuse, and that's the speed limit. I mean, you're just driving the speed limit or below it. You don't have to exceed it. Matter of fact, you should never exceed it.
It's the limit.
You know,
the limit.
And I think you brought up a great point there, too, is if you look at these exit ramps and stuff, it's always going to throw you over on the driver's side. So the driver is very dangerous, right, Dave? Say, Dave, you're always going to the right on these things. You know, when you exit a highway, if it's going to be that clover leaf, you're taking that curve, and you can see it in that video. Most videos we see, we are going to the right, which means if you do roll it over, you're going to be laying it on the driver's side, which is going to be very dangerous, if you will. So again, just got to slow down at these curves.
You want to make sure that you enter these things as safely as possible. You're not losing even 30 seconds if you slow down and you create that safe environment. I'll tell you that a lot of the times on these curves there might be debris on the road because you can't see it. The road condition is unknown because as you come around it, you can't see the full visibility of the road. You've got to make sure that you can, if there's gravel on the road or if it's slick because somebody spilled something or what have you, you just got to be mindful that you can't always see what's out there when you're taking these curves, and you just got to slow down, take your time as you go around there. You can always speed up once you get out there on the thoroughfare because it even had a yield sign at the end, and you've got to make sure that you can stop.
Yes.
You know, you've got to make sure that you can yield to the lane to your left. So you've got to be mindful of not only what's going on, but you've got to be careful of what other people are doing out there as you go around these curves.
Yeah, and you're
I'm going to give you a chance, but here's the deal. This is Monday morning. I know we're celebrating a Cowboys victory. I know perhaps your team won yesterday and you're celebrating. Maybe you're a little tired, but listen, I want some participation today. I'm not too proud. I have no pride in any way. I'm not too proud not to ask for help. Listen, we need you to participate. This is absolutely part of your show right here. This is what we talk about. We have a couple subjects. You've seen the videos, right? We've seen and we asked the question about rain and my goodness, you know, some of you do absolutely the right thing in the rain and perhaps some of you that don't want to raise your hand, maybe you don't know exactly what to do. Maybe for some reason you've been driving for a year or two or three and you don't know what to do. This is our chance in our industry to step up and be leaders to others out there. That's what we have to do, producer.
Yeah, we got Gerald Koenig on the line. What do you got for us today, sir?
Hey, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Hey, on that rain, Rick, well, you know, several things you do is, you know, like you said, reduce your speed. You don't want to use your Jake brakes. You need to watch out for these four-wheelers hydroplaning, hydroplaning. There's several things there that you do, but one of the most important ones is, like Dave's shirt there, you got to watch out for the ducks when it starts raining.
You do.
Just reduce your speed, you know, slow down, no jakes, no cruise control.
No cruise control.
And you just got to be more aware of your surroundings.
Hey, tell me something. Hey, so why no jakes?
Well, the jakes, you know, they're basically like a brake, and it's force on your tires to cause you to go into a jackknife.
Gotcha. And we'll go into this thing here. Hey, why no cruise?
Why no cruise? Because if you're cruising, I think you're probably a lot less paying attention maybe to your surroundings. You're more comfortable. I don't think you would be as aware is what I would think.
Gotcha. Hey, you know what? I appreciate your feedback, your comment. Producer, we have a couple more. Let's go.
Yeah, we do. We got Jeff Marsh here and then David Mason after that. So what do you got for us today, Jeff?
Jeffrey.
Good morning, gentlemen. Can y'all hear me?
We hear you loud and clear.
All righty. Going on what Gerald was talking about, okay, so the reason why you don't use your jake brake is because then the truck has control of when it brakes, not you. So you can actually go into a slide if the truck brakes at the wrong time. So like whenever you hit a jake brake, you'll hear the and then it'll go down. And then it'll kick, and then it'll hit again. So that's what a jake brake does. Is when it goes down to a certain speed, it'll kick, and then it'll hit again. So that's why you don't want to do it while it's raining. You want to control the braking, not the truck. And the part on the why not use the cruise control, because it has been seen. There has been videos on these in the past where a vehicle had their cruise control on, and whenever they spun and they flipped over because when you flip over and you got that cruise control, your wheels are still spinning. So if you go back over on all of them, then that vehicle can take off. If you're not in it, if you get ejected for some reason or something like that, then now you got an uncontrolled vehicle. So you want to make sure that if you flip or anything and it comes back on fours, you want to make sure the vehicle stays there. If you're on cruise control, there's a possibility it could take off.
All right, thank you, Jeffrey. Man, love the feedback from you, our experts out there. And I think we have a couple more. Who do we have?
Yeah, we got David Mason, then Abdullah Wadud. So what do you got for us,
Mr. Mason? How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, gentlemen. I was just going to add one thing about the cruise control. One of the major things it does is it increases your reaction time when your cruise control is off. As soon as you let off that throttle to go to the brake, then you're already slowing down before you touch the brake. If your cruise control is on, your brake has to disengage the cruise first. So there's that split second that could mean everything.
Great job. Great point, Mr. Mason. Man, love it, love it, love it. And Abdullah Wadu, Mr. Wadu, talk to us, sir. Oh, Mr. Abdullah, can you hear us, sir? All right, Abdullah went by on us. He maybe that took his answer right there. I love these comments. So drive safe, David, and buckle up, Bob, and that's the beauty of BCB Live is it's nothing that we do here. I mean, we have duck crossing, we have buckle up, Bob, and we have the knight in shining armor that's here to be that beacon of light to you every day, to be that word of encouragement, that blessing to you.
And as we talk about, they bring up great points, and as we share experiences and we share the understanding of how going out there on the road and taking tips from everybody. Look, we've all been driving a long time. Most everybody is on the call has been doing it for years, but you know what? When you talk about Jake brakes and you talk about how to react, and when you take your foot off, when your Jake brakes engage and you take your foot off of the accelerator, you're already braking. And you may want to coast. You may not need to brake. So you can't do that with the Jakes on, and it can cause a spin out. The exact opposite and everybody's talking about it here. You have a bigger opportunity for spin out, right? When you have that cruise on and you get into those wet conditions and you get like going up a small incline and you have a moment, you can also create a spin out moment when you're out there and that truck's trying to maintain that momentum and it kicks that high RPMs up and it can create that dangerous situation. You don't want that.
Good
you
job.
want to be.
Two more callers. Let's go.
Yeah, we had O-Dog and Lonnie Payne. So what do you got for us,
What's
O-Dog?
happening, O-Dog?
Can you hear me? Good morning.
Hey,
Morning. What's going on?
Can y'all go to that last video real quick? Yeah, that was me.
So what'd you learn, O-Dog? What did you learn, brother?
Wow.
Well, to be honest, and it's like this. As I was going around that turn, I was thinking about the Giants. And y'all know the records on the Giants right now. And that's for the comment. Y'all have a great
Hey, love the honesty. Love the honesty. But that stuff really does happen. You know, you just start thinking about something else, and you kind of lose where you're at for a quick second.
Yeah, and sometimes maybe you didn't catch that sign earlier that said 15 miles an hour or it's steep, and you think, you know what, I've been here a million times, and your mind wanders and you don't slow down. It happens. Hey, O-Dog, you know what? I knight you. I give you forgiveness. I don't know if I can do that as a knight or not. That almost sounds.
Yeah,
I love it when drivers take ownership.
Never mind. I'm looking for lightning.
Sacrilegious, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say that.
We got another one. Who we got? Lonnie Payne.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Doing well, Lonnie.
Listen, one thing I like to do is, besides the speed reduction, I like to stay in the right because a lot of times, and especially if it's heavy rain, when people are exceeding the limits of themselves and the conditions, when they lose control, they have a tendency to spin out and come across at you. So I don't like to be anywhere near that left lane. And also, I treat my mirrors with rain nets and keep them on. So, that way, you need your visibility is very, very important when you get in those conditions because you got to be able to see what's going on around you. So that's just a couple of little tips that I like to use. Man, everybody have a blessed day.
Thank you, Lonnie. You know what? When we get these million-mile safe drivers that are on the show giving us that advice, listen, take that same advice from somebody with I think he's got over 3 million safe miles, if I remember right. Take what he says and apply that. It's so important that we learn from the skills of the leaders out here on the road. And if you're new to this industry, follow some guidance from some of these BCB Live drivers that have been listening and following, and you know what? They're Sir Rick approved too, and we're going to give them a badge of honor.
Now you got an approval and a forgiveness. Wow.
Hey, we're going to end the show. Man, what a great conversation. Hey, before we end it, we heard Jeffrey Marsh's call in and his Jake break sound. Drive safe, Dave. Give me yours. Whoa, 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 whoa. Buckle up. Whoa, 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 whoa.
That's what it sounds like.
Sir Rick. BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. We'll see you this afternoon.
Bye, everybody.